Hey everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is Saturday today, and I have no idea where I left off the last video, or whether I finished it or not, or whether this is a run-on. I don't know. I've been trying to spend time getting everything sorted before I go on the shopping trip, making sure that I use up stuff that needs using and things like that. Every time I turn the camera on, someone interrupts. No one around for half an hour, and then I turn the camera on, and suddenly there's people everywhere. Anyway. The second pie that we made from the other night has just been foil wrapped securely and put in the freezer, and that can be dinner for one of the nights while I'm grocery shopping for the kids. The other pie filling I am about to stick in Ziploc bags so that it can be frozen as pie filling, and I can make pastry for that at another time and make a pie from the frozen pie filling. That works really well. It's easier to store that way than to make the pie and store the pie, or I might make individual ones out of it at some point, because that's what I'd like to do, but we'll see how we go. And then I'm still working on getting the rest of the garlic sorted. So the garlic that I emulsified, I didn't put enough oil in it. It's got rock hard in the fridge, which is not great. So I'm going to pull that out to soften, add a bit more oil to it and get it a bit softer. And then the rest of the garlic I need to turn into more of an emulsion and freeze it in chunks in the freezer pod so that it can go in the freezer for pulling out for other times. And then I've got the confit that I need to strain the solids from, use the solids or freeze the solids, and the oil can go in the fridge or frozen. So I've got to get all of that sorted as well. But I also want to do some baking. So those baguettes that I made with the slightly altered brioche dough were fantastic. So I'm going to make a batch of them up first to proof, because it's pretty cool today. It's very windy. So I'm going to make that batch of dough up first. I also want to make some custard buns. I just really want some custard buns. So I'm going to make some creme patisserie as well. So I'll get the dough going for the baguettes. Then I will get the creme patisserie going, and then the dough for the custard buns, which needs to knead for a lot longer than most of the other doughs. And then the creme patisserie can be put in the fridge to chill while the other stuff's going on. So yesterday we spent most of the day doing construction type stuff. As you can see, the shade cloth isn't behind me because we got those poles concreted in. So we're still working through that as well. But today we also have a couple of assessments. The kids have a couple of assessments due for school, so we have to get them done as well. So in between everything else, that's the plan. So let me start on the doughs first up. Scratch that. I'm starting with pancake bake for the kids. I thought one of the bigger kids had made it, but they haven't. So I need to make it for the kids. So what I might plan, I'm trying to get a recipe a week up on the website. What I might plan is that this is the recipe that I get up for this week to go with this video, is this protein pancake bake that we really like. So we go 400 grams of yogurt. Now, because I'm low on yogurt as well, I've pulled out my yogurt maker, and I'm gonna put a half cup-ish of yogurt in there to make some yogurt from as well. So 400 grams of yogurt. We've got a jar of pureed fruit. This is canned berries that I have made when we had an abundance of berries. Oh, my hands just aren't working at the moment, so I'm having to break the seal on lids. So we've got a jar of fruit. So this is like a 300 gram jar of fruit. So 300 grams of fruit pureed works. You could use pieced fruit if that's what you wanted. So I'm going to use this one for the creme patisserie, which is why I'm using my 6 for this. 300 grams of fruit. We need 6 eggs. 6 eggs. We're going to put about a tablespoon of baking powder in there. We're going to put a pinch of salt. We're going to put some protein powder in there. We've got the white chopped cheesecake one, a couple of scoops of that. And then we're going to add a little bit of flour, 350 grams of flour. Speed 5 for 30 seconds, then give it a scrape down and go again. Then we're just going to pour it into the 9x13 equivalent here, the cast iron baking tray, and we're going to top it with chocolate chips because that is the kids' preference. So could have done with a bit of a better scrape by the looks of it. There we go. So we're just going to throw that in the oven for about 45 minutes. All right, so that's in the machine. I'll probably only do it 8 to 10 hours because it's just Greek yogurt in that milk, and just at the 37. So I'm going to clean up my bench now and get started on the next thing that I was going to do. That pancake bake is in the oven for 45 minutes. The kids have had cereal already, but they'll have pancake bake as well. So yeah, I'm going to clean up. Next thing we're doing, we're going to get this baguette done. The wind is so much, and because we don't have the shade cloth and stuff, there is bits of like foliage everywhere, dust and dirt, and luckily we just deal with it. So water, just going to bring the water up to tepid because as I said, it's pretty cool today and everything's pretty cool. So I'm going to get the water going. We're going to put some coconut cream, as we normally do, about 180, and I'm going to use the rest of this mixed with the leftover cream for the creme patisserie. I think that'll work out fine. Top it up with a little bit of water if necessary, because obviously creme patisserie is done with milk, not cream, so if we have to water down this a little bit just to get the right amount, then that's fine. We're going to do a normal yeast, some salt, some oil. Now I'm going to back off the oil a little bit on this one because they ended up being a little too wet for shaping into the baguettes. I liked the fact that they were really soft and they deflated, but I'm going to back off from my normal brioche to drop 50 grams of oil in here, and we're going to see. I also only have bread, all-purpose flour left. I don't have any bread flour left this month, so that will help with that as well. So we've got this slightly warmed water, and I'm going to back this off the 20 grams as well. So this is basically my light brioche dough, but I've put 700 grams of water in there instead of the 720, and I've done 100 grams of oil instead of the 150. And I think that that will just create a slightly easier to shape into baguette texture, but still leave it that really puffy, which is what I liked. My standard French bread baguette dough recipe is very tight crumb and very firm, and it works really well for like the garlic breads and stuff, but the way that this one turned out, it was like a Subway roll. It was that really soft, sandwichy Subway roll, and it was really nice. So I'm going to see if I can replicate that. All right, so now we just need to add the 1250 to 1300 grams of flour. Again, I'm going to err on the higher side of this because I've got plain flour, not baker's flour. I also found my third baguette tray that I was missing last time I did these when we were putting the poles in and stuff. They'd fallen behind the shelf. So let's get this kneaded up. And this one we only do a couple of minutes. We're just going to bring it all together, sort of 2 to 5 minutes of kneading. It doesn't need to be super smooth. And then we're going to let it get nice and puffy before we shape it. I also did think that it would have made quite a nice enriched focaccia when I was working with it. So, you know, we'll see how we go there. All right, now, next thing I'm going to do is make the creme patisserie so that it can go in the fridge to chill. So I'm going to make it in the Thermomix just because it's super simple to just throw everything in to make custards, creme patisseries, all those sorts of things. It's one of my, it's a simple thing, but it's one of the things that I just really, really enjoy about the Thermomix, being able to throw everything in. So it has a thicken mode. So basically any sort of a custard, creme patisserie, things like that, you can throw all the ingredients in, press thicken, and just let it do what it's going to do. So we're going to grab the scales first, and we're going to do 500 grams of milk, or a mix of, as I said. So we got 500 grams of that end of that coconut cream plus a bit of that milk. Now, I'm going to just scrape every last bit of this vanilla bean paste out with a small spatula, the small black one that I just put over in the sink there. Can you rinse it for me? I actually have my cart filled out to order some more. So this New Genie Naturals, it's quite a good price, especially if you buy it in bulk. So I'm going to keep this container. I'm going to buy a 1 litre one and I'm going to refill this one from it. So we're going to do that. We're going to do some sugar, 100 grams of sugar. Just a sec. 100 grams of sugar. I'm going to scrape out as much of anything that's left in here as I can. I would normally use like a big heaping tablespoon or something in this, but this is all I have left. So just going to get that, and I'll use that to stir it up a bit later. So we've got the vanilla, we've got the 100 grams of sugar. We need 50 grams of cornstarch. 50 grams of cornstarch. Really need to put this in a box, in a jar. 50 grams of cornstarch. Then we need 120 grams of egg yolks. So I'm going to have to weigh them out and sort that. This dough, though, in the meantime, has come together nicely. So I'm just going to grab a scraper and a container for that. So lightly greased Canberra container, and yeah, this dough isn't quite as sticky as the normal brioche dough. I think this will work really well. It's still a lot wetter than my standard French bread baguette dough, and that's what I'm aiming for, a little bit enriched, because it just seemed to add an extra level to those garlic bread things. So we're going to let this get really nice and puffy, and then we're really gently going to shape it instead of being more forceful like we are with the heavier dough. All right, so lid on that, put that aside to proof. Now, egg yolks. We need 120 grams of egg yolks. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the whites yet either, but we will figure that out. So just going to I think it'll be about 6, but being that my eggs are from our chickens, they're pretty inconsistent size. There we go, exactly 120 grams for 6 egg yolks. So let me just tidy this up. All right, so we're gonna scrape these 6 egg yolks in, 120 grams. All right, then we're going to just hit thicken. We're going to put the lid on, obviously, and then it will do everything else. We hit start, it'll mix it up, it'll cook it slow. All right, SD card was full. I need to play with that. So this is going. It'll slowly heat it, stir it, temper the eggs and everything else. It'll do everything it needs to do to create that creme patisserie without me even looking at it. So that's going to do that. I'm going to go and hang some washing out, and then I'm going to come back and do that custard bun dough. And now we're going to do the custard bun dough while that's working in the background. Now, the custard bun dough is a brioche dough as well. We need about 500 grams of milk. Just going to use the end of that cow's milk that we had here and top it up with this and a bit of water if need be. We make things work with what we've got. Okay, 500 grams milk. We're going to add some sugar to this dough, and we're generous with the sugar because this is a sweet bun. So we're going to add 100 grams of sugar, 200 grams of sugar, sorry. We're going to do 200 grams of butter. So I'm going to use ghee in chunks. Now this is what I'd normally use oil here in my like hamburger buns and my light brioche and stuff, but because I'm making this into a sweet bun, I decided to splurge on the ghee because it'll just make it that bit richer than having just oil. So 200 grams of this. Be better if it was a bit softer, but it was a cool night, cool morning. All right, 200 grams of butter. We want some yeast, about 20-25 grams, and then some salt, and then our flour. All right, now interruptions galore. Hopefully I've remembered everything in there. We're just going to need that. Now this is going to need for a good like 20-25 minutes. You're going to start it on slow, bring it all together, turn it up to medium low, and let it go for like 20 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to tidy up again, and we're going to get a container to put this pastry cream in so that we can put a piece of cling wrap over it so that it doesn't form a skin while it's cooling. All right, everything was probably a bit cold for that dough, so the mixer is struggling a little bit, but it'll warm up as it needs, so I'll just keep an eye on it. We've got our creme patisserie, lovely, thick, luscious. Look at that, delicious. So we're going to pour that into a clean container, and I'm going to put some cling wrap on the surface of it so it doesn't create a skin, and we're going to let this chill so that we can stuff those sweet buns that I'm making with it, because nothing beats custard buns in my opinion, and it's just what I felt like for like a week. So we're just going to spread it out, and then I'm going to lay cling wrap directly on the surface of the custard so it doesn't get skin. Though if Mum was here, Mum really likes custard skin. It's weird, but she does. So I probably would have just let it have a skin and she could have that. And my cling wrap got damaged. One of the kids put it too close to the oven when it was on. There's lots of holes in it, so have to use certain spots of it. All right, just like that. And we're going to refrigerate that. And that'll refrigerate for hours while this dough gets kneaded and then proofed and then shaped and everything else. So that's going to go in the fridge. All right, 40 minutes on the pancake bake. So everyone's waiting super patiently. Sarcasm there. Because they're all apparently starving. There we go. Fluffy pancake bake. All right, the other thing that I wanted to do was brine these chicken breasts. So I defrosted 2 packs of chicken breasts. We used some for green curry for dinner last night, and I've got the rest here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these up a little bit. I'm going to have a look at them. But in the meantime, I'm going to get some brine going. I'm going to do around about a 6% salt brine. So like 60 grams of salt per litre. Probably need 2-ish litres to do this. So I'll do that. I'll dissolve the salt on the stove with that, and I might add a little bit of, I don't want to add too many seasonings because I'm going to do a bit of a rub on it before roasting them. So I'm going to brine them and roast them so they can be sliced up to eat with like the baguettes and stuff while I'm gone as like deli meat. But I might put a bit of pepper and garlic in the brine as well, and just do that. So I need to get a pot. I'll get some water in the pot, a couple of garlic cloves or some of that garlic that I've just put in the freezer, one of those pieces, and some peppercorns. I think I'll just leave it really simple like that, and then when I do these, when I coat them, I might coat them with a little bit of a mix of maybe baguette with some, we'll see. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but we're going to get them brined first. All right, so I've got 2 litres of water, I've got 120 grams of salt. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put a bit of peppercorns because I won't put peppercorns on the outside of the chicken. So I'm going to put a bit of crushed pepper to get some nice pepper flavour in there. And I think I'm just going to leave it at salt and pepper because then I want to add the other flavours to the outside of it. I'm pretty sure that's how I'm going to do it. So I haven't done this in a long time. because I would normally smoke them, but the smoker's not working, and anyway, we're going to roast them. So 2 litres of water, 120 grams of salt for a 6% brine, and like a teaspoon and a half of cracked pepper. I'm going to bring this to a simmer just to dissolve the salt. Then I need to let it cool before I add it to the chicken. So in the meantime, I'm going to just trim this chicken up a little bit and get it ready to go into the container with the brine. All right, so the garlic confit has been in the fridge, in the very coldest part of the fridge since I made it, because I just haven't got around to doing anything with it. Now, I'm waiting for all this dough to proof. I've got the brine chilling and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with that. Now, I am going to pop out, these are all the plain garlic with the little bit of olive oil cubes that I froze. I really adore these ice trays because of the silicone, and they're separated. They're really easy to get solids out of. The plastic ice trays that I froze the rest of this in is going to be a pain in the bum to get the cubes out of. It always is. But these were really expensive. I actually think someone sent me these ones off my Amazon wish list, because I had them on the wish list because they're just really expensive. I get a lot of silicone freezer pod type stuff from Kmart, but none of it is small like this. It's all large, which is great for most things, but not so much for this kind of stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to at least fill these two with the confit for the freezer, because I want to use some of it with my noodles this morning, which is why I'm pulling it out. But it also just is something else that needs to be dealt with today as well. So that's all the little, that's uncooked. This was just raw minced garlic with a bit of olive oil and salt, so that's good for cooking purposes. And now we've got the confit here, and it's set up somewhat because of the temperature of the fridge. And I'm just going to mix scissors. No. Going to mix the solids through the oil, and then just spread it out. Now this will be great in pasta dishes and stuff with the big chunks of softened roasted garlic. It will be amazing for that kind of thing. So, because the garlic is already cooked, it doesn't have that sharp bitter flavor that, like, these ones have that sharp bitter flavor they need. It needs cooking whatever you're putting it in, but this stuff is already smooth and delicious. So Sonnet just picked me some flowers, some little, I think they're the everlasting daisies, the Australian little daisies. So do you want to put it in a little jar or something on my desk or something? Alright, so most of that has fit in this, which is nice. And I will probably I'm going to use some of this with my noodles. I'm going to do some garlic sesame noodles. And then the rest I will probably use tonight with that bread, or maybe I'll use it with the chicken or something. I'll use it tonight because I don't want to store it in the fridge any longer, and I don't want to forget about it either. But we will, or on steak or something. There's not very much left there, but I'm going to use, as I said, some of my noodles, and then the rest I'll figure out a use for tonight. But at least I've got all this done. So I'm going to get this in the freezer, the raw ones back in the freezer as well. Alright, the baguette dough has doubled. Texture wise it's really nice and fluffy, which is what I was after. We're going to try and reduce the amount of flour used again, because I really liked the texture of it, the really fluffy sandwich style that it had, rather than the firmer French bread that I normally make. So we're going to see how we go. I did find my other baguette pan that I couldn't find, so I've got 12 cavities. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to aim for 12. So each of these into 3. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to be overly precise about it. And again, we're not going to roll firmly. We're going to let the dough's natural gases stay this time rather than rolling them out. And all I'm going to do is pinch it into a shape like that. We're going to roll it in some semolina and put some on the board, and we're just going to see if I can get the same results I had last time again. And they've ended up quite small. I'm trying to decide, I can't remember what batch size of bread I did last. I thought it was this size, and we ended up with like 8 of them, so I didn't think, no, we ended up with like 10 of them, didn't we? So I wouldn't have thought that, don't know what I'm doing. It's one of those days again where, as I said, we're just using up everything that we've got, experimenting because we can, and we're just gonna do what we do. All right, the baguette dough is shaped and proofing. Now, my custard bun dough has some air in it, but it's weird. But this is the first time I've made this one. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to shape it into the balls and see what it does. Because it's very malleable, but I don't know, actually. I might let it go longer. It just doesn't quite feel right. It's very cold. So no, I'm going to put it back. All right, the chicken needs to brine for about 3 hours before I cook it. So I need to get this going. And sorted. Now, there's some tenderloins there, which are going to get pretty salty if I brine them. So I might actually remove the tenderloins and just, these breasts are quite large. I think I'm just going to throw it all in. We're going to get some mixed results with the different size breasts and the different, and this all in the same timing, and some still have a little bit of ice in the middle of them too. But I think I'm just going to throw them in whole. I don't think I'm even going to trim them up or anything. Get them all in this brine for about 3 hours in the fridge, and then I will roast them off. There you go. So everything's covered, lid on, in the fridge for 3 or 4 hours until I'm ready to cook them, and that's done. I'm just going to clean this up, ready for the custard buns when that dough is ready. All right, the bun dough has finally proofed. It's not a huge proof, but I'm going to go with it and shape it and then get it to proof again, and see how we go. I think I'll weigh the buns. $80 grams, and we're just going to shape them like we would normal bun. And I'm just going to shape them, put them on a tray, put some plastic over them, and then put them in the oven with the pilot light running to get them to proof again. There's lots of air bubbles, but they're just not, the dough's just not doing a whole lot. And I think it's just because the milk was cold, the ghee was cold, and it's just a chilly day today. I think the top temperature today was 15 or 16 Celsius. So it's just not getting very warm today at all. So I'm just going to do them about the 80 gram mark. I'm going to shape them all into balls and then put them on a baking tray, cover them in plastic, and put them in with the pilot light and get them to double until puffy. Hopefully that happens, and then I can get these baked, and then I can get the chicken baked as well. And maybe I'll do a baked risotto for the kids to have with some of that chicken for dinner. Something nice and simple. And then, yeah, I've got the garlic butter out warming up so that I can reblend it with some more oil, because it's just too hard to use. And I still have to do something with that other roasted garlic, though I could just throw it in the freezer, I suppose, and make more garlic butter like later with it, rather than worry about making the garlic butter now. Maybe I'll just freeze the rest of the roasted garlic as is, and I can turn it into garlic butter when I'm ready, rather than turning it into garlic butter now and then having to defrost it, sort of thing. I think I'll do that. All right, that makes it easier. And then I'm sort of done for the moment. Now I will have to, what I'll do is I'll finish this video off after all of these things. I think I'll do my Sunday chat tomorrow, and I'll need to do a planning video Monday maybe. And the last thing I need to do before I go is I always check the freezers. So I always check that the freezers are organized before I go, so that I've got room for when I come back. And something that I will need to do is make some chicken stock, because that's something that takes up a lot of room in the freezers, is the chicken bones from the month before. So generally speaking, I make chicken stock before every trip. So every 6 weeks or whatever, I make another batch of chicken stock and can it, and then that way I have it. Though in saying that, I need to buy beef trim because we've run out of bolognese, and I normally use a fair bit of stock in my bolognese and make like a lasagna soup as well. So maybe I should hold off on making the stock. I don't know, we'll see how the day goes. Anyway, rambling, and it's not even a Sunday squirrel. So I'm just going to shape all these, get them on a board, get them to double, and then hopefully bake them off. They don't take very long to bake. Bake them off and then fill them with custard. The whole point of this is that I want custard filled buns. All this effort because I want custard filled buns. But anyway, so I'll bring you back once these ones are baked. All right, so my chicken breasts have been in the brine for like 3.5 hours or so. Now I need to get them out to be roasted. Now it's late in the month and I don't have any paper towel left, so I'm going to use a tea towel, and a nice clean tea towel. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this straight into some nappy sand straight afterwards, because I'm using it on raw chicken. I don't want anyone to use it on anything else. So that's what I'll do. I'll throw it straight in a bucket with raw chicken. Now with some nappy sand. I earned this rose gold baking roasting tin from Thermomix a couple of months ago. I haven't used it yet. I thought this would be a good time to use it. I can put the chicken breast across both of them. So what we need to do is we need to just pat the chicken dry. As I said, I'm using tea towel that I will go and sanitize straight afterwards. And I'm going to place them in here, and then I'm going to season them. So just going to, I've rinsed these. I don't know if I said that. I rinsed these. So now we're just patting them dry. We do have some varying sizes here, and I might cut some of the big ones in half, because otherwise everything's going to cook at a different rate. And we'll have some overcooked chicken as well as some to get the bigger pieces appropriately cooked, especially since we've got some tenderloins in here as well. Either that, or I might just split the sizing between the two different trays. Maybe that'll be a way to go. I'll just put the smaller ones all on one tray and the bigger ones on another, if that will work out. We'll have a look. So I'm just getting some of the excess moisture off. Alrighty, so now I'm going to put a tiny little drizzle of oil because I'm just going to use that to rub the seasonings in. I'm going to use some paprika generously, some garlic, and some onion. Onion powder got a bit of water in it, so it's clumped up a bit. All right, and then all I'm going to do is massage this into the chicken, and I'm going to put those big 5 breasts in there, and then we've got these smaller pieces which I will break up a little bit in here, and we're just going to now roast these. About 25 minutes probably for the really big pieces, probably 20 for the smaller pieces. We'll see how we go, but I'm going to throw them all in the oven about 180 and we will see how they go. I've got the chicken in the oven still, it's not quite ready, but I'm throwing together the baked risotto. The custard buns are still proofing, they're just not, yeah, it's just too cool today. I'm using some of the heat from the back of the oven to try and push them a little bit faster, but we'll see. Anyway, so baked risotto. I have bacon bits, onion, and some garlic in here with the cooking off, and then I've added some quarts of water as well as some of the French onion soup dry mix as the bouillon option. I'm going to bring this to the boil. I'll add arborio and then I will throw it in the oven to cook while everything else is going. So simple baked risotto for that, and then the chicken will be ready. We can slice up some chicken. They can have that with that for dinner. All right, so the smaller chicken pieces have hit temperature, so I'm going to pull them out. I've got a wireless thermometer in the largest piece there. And I'm going to get this sorted to go into the oven. So it's come up to a boil. I'm going to put about 3 cups worth of arborio rice in here. This is just a half cup measure. Mix that up just like that, and then put the lid on it, get it in the oven. And then it'll cook for about 35-40 minutes in the oven just without me having to do anything about it. After that, I've got that leftover confit, so I'm going to put the confit in there as the like grease, oil, butter at the end to mix it through, and then the kids can sometimes add some nutritional yeast and things like that. So I'm just going to find the lid for this. All right, and then I'm going to get this in the oven to cook. This is what the smaller pieces of chicken look like. I'm just going to, oh, that's hot. I'm just going to double check the temperature of a couple of the pieces to make sure, but I put it in the biggest, thickest piece, so. Yep, so coming up to the 76, oops, not in shot there. They're coming up to the 76 on temperature there, which is all we need. So the smaller pieces will be well and truly there. So that is done. All right, I'm gonna put that back to charge in there. And the other chicken is at the 53 at the moment. So it needs a little bit longer, but this stuff is done. So I'm just gonna tidy up and get ready to, that 35 minutes will be for that. I'm still trying to get these buns to proof. I'm rotating them over the heat that the oven is providing, but they are not puffing how I would like, so we will see. All right, you can check the risotto. Looks cooked to me. I'm going to put the last of the confit in here. as well as a chunk of the roasted garlic butter. Just melt that through it. I'll put the lid back on, let that all melt through, and I'll cut up some of that chicken. So I got one of these big chicken breasts. It's come up to temperature, and it's a lovely texture with the brining, very soft, very tasty. So I'm just going to cut this up, mix it through the risotto, and then dinner is done for the kids. Cooked the French bread off, except that I forgot it was in there, and I forgot to score it before I cooked it, forgot it was in there, and it's a lot more overcooked, so it's not the nice soft roll that I was looking for. It's more like the garlic bread roll, but that's fine. They will still be eaten, but it wasn't quite what I was after, which was replicating yesterday's bread or the day before's bread, but that's fine. So kids' dinner served. I put the custard buns in the oven, but they haven't proofed very well, so we'll see what happens there. But I've got the creme patisserie in the fridge as well, so I can still serve it with that, or I can have that on its own if that's what it comes to. And Darryl and I will have chicken for dinner with something. I don't know what yet, but that's it for the moment. I'll get some photos of the custard buns. Other than that, I'm going to leave it there. All right, so these custard buns, they actually feel fairly light, so we will see how they go. They need to cool before I fill them, so I'm going to let them chill, and then I will, some of the ones on the side got a little bit burnt. It's annoying, but I obviously had the pan too far to the side, or didn't rotate them or whatever. So, but most of them look good. So I'm going to let these chill, whisk up the custard to get rid of any lumps, and then we will pipe it in the middle of them is the idea. And then we will taste it. So, didn't turn out as bad as I expected. We'll see. I was just checking the end of the last video for that food prep and planning and stuff, and to edit it for tonight to put out tomorrow, and I realized I didn't get to show you guys the chicken once it was done. So we were really happy with the brine chicken, so I'm going to end out this video here because all I did was show a little bit of footage of the custard bun without any talking, and that was the end of it. So I'm going to quickly, we're doing pizza for dinner tonight, so I'm going to quickly show you the chicken sliced up nice and cold, to show you that brine chicken, because we're definitely going to do that in bulk again because it was really nice. And then that will be it for this particular video, and then the next one will be the inventory and planning for the groceries. So let me show you the chicken. So this is actually the last breast that we've got left. All the rest of it has been eaten. So the plan had been to do it so that I could slice it really nice and thinly like this, and have it as like lunch meat, things like that. We're going to slice it up and we're going to use it on pizza for tonight, with some salami and things like that. But yeah, this is how it turned out with the brining. So it's got this lovely, bouncy, moist texture. It's super tasty. I probably could have reduced the salt a little bit because the smaller pieces, the little tenderloins and things like that, were a little bit salty. But luckily, we're quite happy to eat salted meat, so it's not such a big deal. But the plan is to do this more often so that we've got the moist, cooked chicken. Could even be frozen, to be used in pasta dishes and things like that. Lovely and moist for whatever we use it for, with the lovely texture. So I just wanted to show you that before I finished off. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you on the next one.